Buns and Crispin Day!
Welcome to a bonus episode of the Blooms and Barnacles podcast, where we talk about things that are tangentially related to Ulysses. I'm Kelly.
I'm Dermot.
How are you today, Dermot?
Very good, thank you. How are you?
I'm very good. What are we talking about today, Dermot?
The Immortal Bard.
I'm thinking this will be our final Immortal Bard coverage. How do you feel?
Good. I feel very good.
Do you want to expand on that?
Well, we're kind of softening the blow by making them Olivier movies.
Yes.
Which does help. And it's a movie I like, Henry V.
Mm-hmm.
The Olivier Henry V. Shot up the road from my hometown.
Okay.
Power scored. Not a million miles away from Marco.
Right.
So very familiar rolling hills in the background.
We've done 2 Olivier Shakespeare films. Next month we're going to finish Scylla and Charybdis. We are done with it forever. I think we had planned to finish it this month originally, but we're spacing those episodes out just because of non-Blooms related time commitments. This should be our last Shakespeare. There'll be a little Shakespeare, I think, that squeaks into that last Scylla and Charybdis episode. What I'd like to do, Dermot, is a little stock taking before we barrel into this, which is, in our very first Scylla and Charybdis episode, I gave you a time that I called Dermot's Shakespeare Corner, where I let you complain about Shakespeare, get it out of your system so we could do these episodes. And now that we're kind of at the end of things here, I'd like to reprise Dermot's Shakespeare Corner. What are your thoughts on Shakespeare this day in the year of our Lord 2026?
I still think the tragedies are, and a lot of the other ones too, are but just silly, right? Like, what stories are we looking at here? They're meant to be like universal truths. They're telling us that rich, powerful people can be really stupid. I mean, that's basically, I already knew that. Like, that's not a deep insight or anything.
Though I don't think that is the thesis of the one we're looking at today.
No. Very opposite of that. My real, I guess, antagonism towards it would be having, like, encountered the tragedies more than any of them. It's like, these do not make sense to me at all. These don't feel like real people. They're idiot plots. The tragic flaws, they're just doing things that are irrational and stupid, which is fine. People do that.
But has your view of Shakespeare changed at all, having done these episodes of Blooms and Barnacles?
No.
Or you're completely unmoved?
Yeah, no, pretty much the same. The things I like, I still like, and the things I dislike, I still dislike. I don't blanket hate the plays.
Did you learn anything new, or anything that surprised you, or
no?
So, what you're saying is at the end of Scylla and Charybdis, you've learned nothing.
All the stuff we've learned about the Shakespeare scholarship and, the theories about who the secret identities possibly. Yeah, a lot of that was new to me, but I don't understand why people care. Like the lads in the library, like, there are so many more interesting things you could be talking about than this. I mean, yeah, it's a mystery.
The enormity of Shakespeare's legacy is something that you couldn't possibly get out from under if you have an interest in literature in the English language.
Well, I think there are other writers, right? Like, I would have more of an interest in John Milton. Like, if I was going to read a work of literature from that period, I'd read Paradise Lost.
But you can understand, at least intellectually, how the long shadow of Shakespeare's legacy keeps him in the conversation.
Oh, absolutely. I see why,
fascinates people. And...
Yeah. I think they get, like Tolstoy said, they get kind of bamboozled by the beauty of the language. And it's very easy to get bamboozled by words and then not see past the words to the fact there's really not much there in a lot of these plays, right?
That's what also Professor McHugh said, Biscuit Flea in Aeolus. You must not be carried away by the sound of words.
Yeah.
Dermot, your conclusion of this year and more we've spent talking about this is you've learned nothing, it's changed you in no way, and you still don't like Shakespeare.
Yeah. I mean, you asked the question and I answered it.
I did, yeah, but I was just curious, maybe nothing has moved your heart whatsoever.
I wouldn't have known about the whole Hamnet thing. Of course, everyone does now because of the horrible movie. But, so yeah, that was interesting, I guess.
Okay.
Like,
mean, the answer can be no, I've learned nothing and my heart is unmoved. That's a valid answer.
The things I've learned are, I would consider tangential to the works.
Yes.
Like,
Scylla and Charybdis largely is.
Yeah, and I think just the biographical stuff about the Shakespeares. Yeah, it's not interesting. I mean, not stuff I wouldn't have known, really. But again, like, we're getting into the library discussion of does it really matter that much? Like, that's assuming he is the author and all that. Does it really matter if he was? Maybe. But, like, all the ne'er-do-well family. And And how did he emerge out of that ne'er-do-well family? His father and brothers all seem like chancers caught up in the legal system all the time. Anything we've talked about just raises more questions for me about what the ever-living hell was going on. But I already doubted the official narrative anyway.
Yeah.
And I've been open from day one about that. Like, I don't think he didn't write them, but I don't think he did write them either, if that makes sense. Like, I have a completely open mind on that. He could have written them partially, some. There could have been a bunch of guys doing it. I don't know. But when we were teasing back into the movie, when I was watching it last night, like, listening to some of the dialogue, I'm like, that dialogue sounds really odd. Like, and I know that they were making changes in the movie as well. And so even in Hamlet, too, I am doomed to walk for a certain period of time. That's very unpoetic language, isn't it? That's very flat dialogue. So I could see, like, somebody just thrashing something down and going, yeah, just get it out. The play's on tomorrow.
I've stopped bringing my little teapot out because I forget. That something about being doomed for a certain time to walk the earth is printed on the bottom of the teapot.
Yeah.
And it's also quoted in Ulysses.
Yes.
So maybe it didn't grip you, but you could see that it did grip at least James Joyce and a teapot maker.
Yeah, I don't get it.
Okay.
It's one of those things that leaves me cold.
All right. Well, then we'll just have to move on. All right, because we have other Shakespeare things to talk about.
I don't want to drip poison into your ear or anything, because that's how poisons work, apparently.
Oh, okay. There are things that work for an Elizabethan audience that just don't work for us anymore. Because you can watch a film from the 50s, and there will be logic in the plot of that film that worked for people in the 50s, that made sense then, that now is just illegible. Because culture moves on.
At the risk of changing subject, in every private detective potboiler movie, somebody would drop a box of matches with the name of the nightclub that they were at where the mystery will be solved. You know, that's the cliche. Can we not think about something better than the box of matches with the name of the nightclub printed on it?
But you have to think, too, that does show a change in culture because everybody smoked back then.
Yep.
And they used
so many
matches. I'm going to just grab the steering wheel here and get us back on track. So we're here today to talk about Henry V. There is a very brief reference to Henry V in one line of Scylla and Charybdis where Stephen uses, not even in a sentence, he just uses the word nookshotten to describe himself. And we did discuss the significance of that particular word in, I believe, episode 161 of the regular Blooms and Barnacles. So we found a very loose connection. I think Shakespeare is a strong enough connection. We've done the other two Olivier Shakespeare movies, though I did learn recently he did a horrible Othello in blackface we will not be touching. I find that Henry V, surprisingly, will touch on a lot of the themes and topics that we've covered in our Scylla and Charybdis episodes. We should start with a synopsis in case anyone's not familiar with it. We'll go through the plot of this film, which is cut down pretty substantially from the stage version, which all of these films are. They just kind of need to be because the language of film is different than the language of stage. The film opens with a big shot of Elizabethan London, which is a very meticulously created model. And there's a little playbill that floats in. You know, you get a close-up on that, and you see it's opening day for Shakespeare's new play, Henry V, which has a much longer title, but we're just going to call it Henry V. It zooms into a little model of the Globe Theatre, and then you're in the Globe Theatre. And so the first maybe 15, 20 minutes of the movie is just Shakespeare's company putting on the first scenes of Henry V. And there's a reason they did it this way, which we'll touch on as we get into the actual production of this movie. You get to see back scene, I think it's the Bishop of Ely, he loses his mitre and he comes out with a big tonsured bald spot, and there's sort of impromptu comedy when it's the Bishop of Canterbury drops all his papers. But the scene they're setting up is that it's the 100 Years' War. England and France are at war. The French have sent a gift to the English, which is kind of an insult. They're planning to go back and conquer some of these cities in France. That's the substance of it, but it's played as like completely comic, and you have all the groundlings shouting and making a big ruckus, and like I said, it goes from the front of the stage to the back. In Henry V, and one thing that has made this a difficult play to adapt to the screen back in the day was that there's this character of the chorus. You call him more like a narrator, but they call him chorus, right? He does what in a film would be a voiceover. I think having this framing device of it's a stage play in the Globe allows him to be a little more integrated in naturally at the beginning, and then when he appears as voiceover, you're reminded, oh, it's in a play.